Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome to Going from Darkness to Life radio podcast or my Recovery Life Coaching channel. I am Coach TJ. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode. If you guys like the commentary, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification button to receive notifications of my videos. I am a certified recovery life coach. Just all about helping people on their paths, their journeys, and their purpose to a new and better you through self discovery. Now, the reason I decided to call this particular channel From Darkness to Light Recovery Life Coaching is because right now in the world that we're in now, currently, we are dealing with a lot of darkness light right now. We're dealing with a lot of spiritual warfare. We're dealing with a lot of abuse, a lot of depression, anxiety, medical issues, financial issues, relationship issues, children issues, emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, internal, and external negative things that we're going through, and then that to even include the past experiences that we deal with as well. So, as a certified recovered life coach, it is my job to make sure I help people recover from anything from anxiety to depression, financial issues, family issues, relationship issues as far as friends and jobs, when it comes relationships, romantic relationships, when it comes to overcoming adversity, anything that's holding you back from being the best version of yourself, subtracting from your life the things that are going to keep you from being the great version of yourself. Because if you keep trying to hold on to past experiences and still trying to do things in the same way you did 20 years ago, or trying to relive your past life and trying to fix things that are already broken, that have already happened, then you're going to be stuck. And then I also help people when it comes to being people pleasers, Captain Save-A-Hoes, Build-A-Bears, Build-A-Dolls, seat fillers, helping people when it comes to not putting yourself last in order to build everybody else up. So you're lowering yourself in order to build someone else, which is a no no. So today, while I am getting ready to make some stir fried rice, I figured I would come on here today and talk to y'all while I am cutting up my ingredients that's going to be going into my stir fry. Now, why is it important when it comes to recovery to let go of what was and focus on what is and what will be? Because there's an old saying that no matter how much you sit still, time will continue to move. Now, as someone that is a godly person, someone that tries my best not to feed into negativity, not to react to things that are negativity, from someone that has been through a lot of negativity in my personal life, recovery was definitely something that was difficult for me. But when a lot of people think about recovery, they think about drugs, alcohol, codependency, gambling, sex addictions, those type of things. They don't think about being a people pleaser as being addictive. They don't think about people that want to be these Captain Save-A-Hoes, the Build-A-Bears, the Build-A-Dolls, the ones that want to be loved, liked, appreciated, valued, wanted, needed to be a part of something, to be validated, to be approved of, to be accepted, for somebody to know your worth, and proving something to people to be an addiction. Yeah, there are things, believe it or not, that are addictions that you don't even know can be addictive. But those 12 things are pretty much the center around your addiction, because they're not addictive because they're bad things. They're not. It's just what you're willing to do for those 12 things that I just mentioned is what makes it addictive. And it's also part of the reason why you make the choices and decisions and the actions and the behavior that you do is based upon that when it comes to other people. It also is the reason why we lower ourselves in order to help other people. While we're constantly building other people, we're lowering ourselves and not focusing on ourselves. By us taking care of other people, we're not taking care of ourselves, which is never really a good thing. So while I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I have this nice little squash here and some zucchini. that I'll be chopping up in my stir fry. So I am making stir fry rice with chicken, ground beef, and some squash, zucchini, broccoli, and I might add some carrots and a couple of things in there. But those are frozen, so I ain't got to worry about that. But I just wanted to cut these up, and also I have a nice little onion here, and I'm going to be using all of this onion. And I also have some rice that I'm going to add into it as well. Now, the one thing I've learned about recovery is your overall health and wellness should be what your life basically should be based upon. So if you are someone that does not understand the importance of your freedom of choice, your free will, your overall health and wellness internally and externally, your blessings and how they're only supposed to go to you, and how to go about helping people without lowering yourself or without trying to hurt yourself or lose something. So, the one thing that we're not taught is how to be individuals in a world that is based upon helping everybody else. And depression and anxiety comes from the fact of you're trying to be something that you're not. You have a lot of people that wear makeup and fake hair and all these different things, and they think they have all this money, and they think that that's what makes you who you are. That who you are is based upon how you dress, how much money you have. It's based upon what you look like, the external part of yourself. But God says that it's about the internal part of yourself. It's about the beauty that's in the side of you as a person. So a lot of people you may look at and say, "Oh my God, this person is very attractive," but that doesn't mean they're a good person internally. It doesn't mean that their consequences, their repercussions, and their karma is not going to impact and affect you when it comes to their actions, behavior, choice, and decisions. There are a lot of people that are sitting in jail right now because they followed people because of the 12 things that I said earlier: love, like, appreciate, value, wanted, needed, to be part of something, to be validated, to be approved of, to be a part of something, to be accepted, for someone to know your worth, and proving something to people. And these people ain't doing nothing but leading you astray. And as in the Bible, there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, boy and girl that cry wolves, sirens, vampires, and snakes that will come into your world when you are vulnerable and when you have no one there to guide you in what direction you need to go. Or like Little Red Riding Hood, you're going down the path and you see all these things, and your mom tells you just go to grandma's house and then come straight back. And instead of you going to grandma's house and coming straight back, you stopping, you're enjoying all this other stuff versus you focusing on what it is that you are supposed to do as a person. Okay. So I'm going to commence the chopping. So while I'm doing that, I will be talking at the same time. So what I've learned when it comes to from darkness to light is that there's not one person that's not going to go through some type of darkness or some type of situation that's going to be negative. And it's a question of how you got into the negative situation in the first place. 99.99% of people got into these negative situations because you follow behind other people. You worried about other people and what they're doing. And you'll see that a lot on social media, where you have a lot of people that instead of worrying about themselves, they're worried about everything else that's going on. So for example, if you look at the Diddy situation, as far as what's going on with that, and the fact that this man might be going to jail for a very long time, we don't know yet. But you got all these people that are so invested in this Diddy thing, but yet they're not invested in their own lives. You have people that are so obsessed with celebrities, but they're not worried about their own life. You have people that want to bring other people down who have worked hard to get where they at, but yet and still you don't want to do the work to get yourself together. You got people that's on this James Scott Farron, I want my money and I want it now, and I'm not going to go about doing it the way I'm supposed to. I'm gonna go about doing it the way I choose to, which is the fast and easy way. A lot of people want fast money. A lot of people want everything right then and right there, and not understanding there is work that's required when it comes down to doing certain things. So I always learn the godly way of doing things is always the right way of doing things. And when you're trying to get everything fast and easy, that's the negative way of doing it. I also learned that when it comes to spiritual, God is gonna give you what you need. The devil's gonna give you what you want. That's just the way I was always taught. So anything that you want, yeah, the devil's gonna give it to you. But if you think it don't come with a price, then you have no idea what you're speaking on. So I tell people all the time, you don't know, if something that's being brought to you is if God is bringing it to you or the devil's bringing it to you. When it comes to people coming in your life, it could be God sending those people or the devil sending them to you. But either way it go, you have to, based upon your own discernment, based upon your own research and education and knowledge, determine whether or not these people and situations and information is something that you need to consume. So today's topic is going to be about how what you choose to consume based upon what your five senses consume, in other words, comes to you, you determine what you choose to acknowledge. Because what you choose to acknowledge determines how and what decisions and choices that you're going to do based upon the actions behavior. So your action and behavior is based upon your choices and decisions. But what are you basing these choices and decisions on? Are you basing it on your emotions? Are you basing it on what you hear, what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch? What are you basing it on? Because we get information in multiple different ways. We don't just get it based upon just sitting down and reading a book. You can get information based on what your five senses basically, decides to acknowledge. So, for example, you can be out and about, and matter of fact, you can be in your house, and you can be seeing everything that's in your house. But what determines what you choose to acknowledge? What do you choose to consume? So every day we're consuming information every day in multiple different ways. It's just what's the thing that's going to make us say, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to hear this, I'm going to smell this, I'm going to taste this, I'm going to touch this. What is it that makes me drawn to that thing? What makes me attracted to it where I'm going to acknowledge it? It's just like when you on the road, right, and you're driving, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say me and a friend of mine, we're driving, right? And I'll give you a real life situation. Me and him were driving, right? And he was, basically getting ready to pull out. Well, something just said, I happened to notice something. And I said, stop, wait, stop. And he's like, what? I said, stop. We almost got hit. Now, mind you, it wouldn't have been his fault. But if I would have been paying attention and I wouldn't have saw it, he wouldn't have saw it. So again, it's important to have other people and information to basically make sure that you're good. So when you have people in your life, the whole purpose of having these people in your life is for you to be able to have people to look over your shoulder, looking on the sides of you, looking behind you, because you can't see behind your head. Now, that's the whole point of having a sense of smell, sense of touch, because whatever you can't see, you can actually hear. But a lot of people are not really in tune with the rest of their senses when it comes to certain things. And people think that sense of smell and sense of touch is only about that. No. Mm-mm. Because let's just say somebody's trying to rob you and you're at an ATM and somebody's trying to rob you. Well, even though you can't see them, you can also hear. And you can also smell the person, because if the person has an odor or a cologne, you're going to be able to smell it. And not only that, you can also literally feel their breath behind you. So if you're out and about one day, right, and it just so happens that somebody is trying to attack you, My recommendation would be, if you're going to the ATM, do not turn your back. Make sure you're turned where you can see everything. Or if not, don't go to the ATM by yourself. Or just go to Walmart and just, go and pull money out from the ATM. Another thing, you have a lot of people when it comes to human trafficking that basically are in a situation where they are basically in a store, and they're walking in a store and they feel like somebody is following them. Your intuition ain't never gonna steer you wrong. It's never ever gonna steer you wrong. So even though you may not be sure about something, your intuition is never gonna be wrong. So if your intuition is telling you that something ain't right, please pay attention to it. Pay attention to your intuition, because it's never gonna steer you wrong. But what happens is we go off our emotions because we've been taught that whenever something happens that we need to be able to express our emotions and our feelings. But in reality, a lot of people don't even care about your feelings. They don't care that they hurt you. They don't care that they lied to you. They don't care that they manipulated you and bamboozled you and led you astray. They don't care. So when your instincts are telling you something ain't right, go with it. If your instincts are telling you that this person is cheating, go with it. But here's the thing. You got to decide whether or not you want honesty or whether you don't. That is the thing you need to understand. Because if you don't want honesty, then I don't recommend looking for something. Because a lot of people say, well, I can handle the truth. I can handle, you being honest with me. No, you can't. Because the minute that person is honest with you, here's my squad, you're gonna have a hissy fit and you're gonna be mad. So at the end of the day, I tell people, when everything you do has consequences and repercussions, whether it's negative or whether it's positive, there are consequences. So even though you may have done something and you may not get caught, it don't mean that something else is not gonna make you have to live with those consequences and repercussions and karma. And I'll use Diddy for example. Diddy has done a lot of things to a lot of people, and a lot of people may not think that he deserves to have this type of karma, but that's how karma works. Karma may not get you for exactly the thing that you did wrong in the beginning that you got away with, but eventually you are going to get caught up, and eventually you are going to have to pay the piper. I mean, if you think about the Pied Piper, which is a story that a lot of people know about, was when the Pied Piper came and tried to help a kingdom out of their issue with their rats. And when the Pied Piper came trying to collect his what he was supposed to get, and the king asked him, "What do you want?" He said, "I want to run the kingdom." And the king's like, "I'm not going to give you that." Well, guess what happened? He took their kids. He took everybody's kids. So at the end of the day, like I said, you're going to have to pay the piper eventually. Whether you want to pay the piper or not, you're going to have to pay the piper. And a lot of y'all think that when you do something negative, there's not consequences, or it don't come with something. Trust me, it does. For everything you do, it comes with some type of consequence. There is something you're going to have to do in order to get what you want. And demonic, when it comes to negative things, it comes with a price. And it comes with a price that at the time you may think you're going to be able to pay, but eventually you're not going to be able to pay it. So a good example of this would be Rapunzel. When Rapunzel met, not Rapunzel, Rumpelstiltskin. That's it, Rumpelstiltskin. When Rumpelstiltskin helped the young lady when it came to turning that straw into gold. And the last time she had to do it, she didn't have anything to give him. And he said, "Well, I'll go ahead and do it for you, but just understand when I come back, I'm going to claim what it is I want, and you're going to give it to me." Okay, well, he went ahead and did it, even though her father was the reason why she was in the mess, because her father was a compulsive liar. And she should have never been involved in the situation in the first place, especially considering the fact that her father lied. But to protect her father, she went ahead and did what she had to do to save his life, no differently than when it came down to Belle, when it came down to Beauty and the Beast. All right. So anyway, so when it came down to the situation as far as her, you know, spending the the straw into gold. Well, guess what? The prince ended up marrying her. So he ended up marrying her, and everything was good until that baby was born. And then that's when Rumpelstiltskin came and said, "Look, I'm coming to collect what it is that I want from you." And she was like, "Well, what is it that you want?" She thought it was going to be money or something like. He said, "No, I want your child." And she's like, "Well, you can't have my child." She's like, "No, you're going to give me your child because you and I made an agreement that your child was going to be my payment. You know, whatever it is I asked for, you said you would give me." Now, a lot of people in distress will just basically agree to anything, but then when it comes to collecting, you don't want to give it up. So even though, Rumpelstiltskin helped her, she thought, okay, I can just give him some gold, I can just give him this, and he's gonna go away. He wanted her child. And so the only way that wasn't gonna happen was if she guessed his name. And the first two times she couldn't figure out what his name was. If it wasn't for a soldier going out there in the woods, way out there, she never found his name was Rumpelstiltskin. And so because she is able to figure out his name, she didn't have to give up her child. But still, at the end of the day, it still don't mean that nothing else happened after that. That's just how the story ended. But we don't know what happened after that. We just know based on how the storyteller told the story. So a lot of times we think that when we hear stories like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all these different stories, that basically it ended there. No, there was stuff that happened after that. We just don't never know because the story was never continued. So at the end of the day, like I said, for every negative thing you do or positive thing that you do, there are consequences and repercussions and karma to your actions, and that's just the way it is. So even though you may not get your karma right then and there, it does not mean that you're not going to get it eventually. And all of this stems from what you choose to consume. So you have a lot of people that might be desperate and will do anything and everything to be able to survive because they're poor, they have no money, they're in a very extenuating circumstance, their parents might be sick. I was watching this African story about a young man who pretended to be a king, a prince, and everything. And what ended up happening was that it came out that he wasn't the prince, that it was actually a whole nother person that was also pretending not to be a prince so he could find his princess and get married. Now, this young man told the story of why he did it. And his father had worked for the king for many, many years, but when his father got sick, the king didn't want to help him. And so when that happened, that's when his mother ended up, him and his mother ended up suffering because the king didn't want to give the father any severance pay. Okay. So because he didn't want to give him no severance pay, this young man had to do what he had to do to survive. So when you have to survive, you'll be amazed what you will consume and what you are willing to accept in order to get out of your circumstance. And that's when mostly negativity comes, is when you are in a very bad circumstance and you don't know what to do. And it's kind of hard when you have a world where there's no empathy or understanding when it comes to people going through things. So if you got people going through something and, you know, this particular person does not want to understand why this person did this, and you have people like, well, how in the world could you let yourself get in this situation? And for some people, they didn't. It was just something that just happened, no different than the story of Job. The story of Job was no different. Job didn't just get in that situation. God and the devil made a bet to see whether or not that Job was going to go against God, and he didn't. But he also got everything back. So there will be a time where you will be tested to see whether or not no matter what you go through, are you going to basically go through it, or are you going to try to do all of these negative things to get whatever it is that you want? So there's different circumstances that determine things. You may have people that want somebody else's life, and they'll do anything to get somebody else's life. And so they'll go and they will basically essentially do all of these things to basically destroy another person so they can get what they have, which is why I tell people, stop telling people what you got. Stop letting people know what you have, because I'm here to tell you there will be people out there that will want what you have. Sometimes you got to make people believe that you're broke. Sometimes you got to make people believe that you don't have anything. Sometimes you got to make your friends think that your boyfriend is broke and ugly, just so you don't have to worry about somebody trying to take what you have. Because as soon as people find out what you have, they're going to take it. And that's just what they're going to do. And so the reason a lot of this stuff goes on is because we're not understanding that it's not just about physically protecting yourself from other people. It's also mentally and psychologically protecting yourself from certain things. So even though you may see all these people having fun, you see all these people doing their thing, it doesn't mean that those things are meant for you to do. So just because somebody else is doing something does not mean, in all honesty, that it's meant for you to do it. So just because somebody run around robbing a bank don't mean you have to do it. So my thing is, if I see that somebody doing, so every person that has done this has ended up in jail, I ain't doing it. So you have to have a mind of your own to be able to survive in this world. And if you don't know how to survive in this world, you will be pretty screwed. So what you choose to consume and acknowledge, the information that you choose to bring to your brain, that you choose to, dissect, determines your actions and behavior, but also your emotions. So if you don't know the importance of emotional intelligence and the importance of understanding that words only have value if you give it the value and the power, because people can say whatever. People can call you ugly, fat, whatever. But the point is, are you going to consume what they're saying? Are you going to let what these people say about you be accurate? Are you going to worry about all this other stuff that don't matter? Are you really going to try to get somebody back or stay with somebody that you know is putting their hands on you? So again, you have to ask yourself, are these situations worth me staying? I don't care how much I love somebody. If my overall health and wellness is being impacted by another person's actions, behaviors, and choices and decisions, as far as how they treat me, the things they do outside of me when they're not around me, those things matter. Those things make a very, very big difference. So I want people to understand that when you are out here and you're dealing with people, I need you to understand that if you're a godly person, then you're already the prize anyway. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, because again, if you didn't walk up to these people, you didn't introduce yourself, and you didn't ask them as far as knowing you, then why does it matter what they think about you? It shouldn't matter at all. The only thing that should matter is the fact that you know you're a good person, and the people that are going to see you be a good person is going to see you be a good person. The people that are not, they can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. So my whole thing is, why are you worrying about negative people that basically you didn't walk up to, you didn't introduce yourself to? So why does it matter to them what you have going on when they don't like you? As soon as the person says they don't like you, then that's when you need to move on. The minute that somebody says something negative, you don't need to prove nothing. You don't need to do anything except walk away, because those are not people you want to be around. Anybody that jeopardizes what your goals, your dreams are, and the things that you're trying to accomplish, those are not people you need to deal with. But the problem is, we're trying to prove something to people because they have more money than us, or because they look better. You have all these girls running around doing plastic surgery and destroying their bodies and destroying themselves because they don't love themselves, because they base themselves on what other people say, which is a part of people pleasing. So when you're trying to please everybody else, but yet you're not happy, when you come home and you got bills to pay and your bills can't be paid because this other person did not pay you back the money that they owe you, then that's a problem. When you're not getting what you give when it comes to people, then those are not people you need to deal with in any capacity anyway. You don't need to deal with anybody that ain't treating you or doing for you what you do for them. Because there are a lot of people that will sit there and be Captain Save a Ho and try to save a whole bunch of ho-ho-hos. But then when they lose their job or when something happened, these same people who you was trying to impress now don't care nothing about you. It's like if somebody was to commit a crime. A whole bunch of people committed a crime, right? And let's just use Charles Manson, for example. Charles Manson had people running around unaliving people. And Jim Jones killed 900 and some people. And did you think he cared about them people's life? But yet them people were giving him money. But then when it came down to him getting ready to go to jail, he unalived all them 900 and some people. There's only a few people that were left when it came to Jim Jones. So if you're sitting up here looking at it from that point of view, that's the way you need to look at it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you're going to have people that's going to drag you down a rabbit hole that is of Alice in Wonderland. You're going to be following these rabbits down the rabbit hole, don't know where they're going, don't know what their situation is, but because they have a nice car, because they're good in bed, does not mean they don't have HIV or they don't have some illness that's going to affect you. Just because you see somebody with money, you don't know how they got it. You don't know what they had to do negative to get it. You'd be amazed how many women have went through abuse because they were with men and they looked at the money. And then you had women that's now sitting in jail for a man that was selling drugs. So you don't never know what somebody gonna put you through. So even though you aren't the person that started the situation, it don't mean you ain't going down with them. There are a lot of people that have gone down for a lot of people based upon negative situations just by being guilty by association. Just because they were associated with these people, they are now sitting in jail right now. You got people that got stopped by the police and turned around and started telling on everybody else and their mama, because if I go down, you going down with me type of mentality. You have people that really are like that. If I go down, I'm not going down by myself. I'm taking you down right along with me. I refuse to go down by myself. I refuse to sit up here and go down alone when I can take you down with me, when I can have you, sitting in jail right along with me. And then some of them people don't even end up going to jail. The ones that snitch on everybody, they end up, going back within their life. So at the end of the day, you got to be very careful because nowadays it is every person for themselves. So when it comes to negative things and somebody come to me talking about, I'm going to go rob a bank, you're going to be on your own because I'm not doing it. I am not going to be robbing a bank. I am not going to jail for you. I am not dying for you. I am not going to end up in a situation where I lose everything because you want me to do something negative. It's just like when it comes to sex and you have young girls who are not ready to have sex and you have these little boys saying, if you love me, you'll have sex with me. Well, guess what? If you love me, you'll wait. I'm not ready. But because everybody want to prove something, because you're scared of losing this person, you're willing to go against everything that you know is right to do something wrong. Ooh, these onions are strong. I'm cutting onions. And yes, they are very, very strong. So no, if that person can't respect the fact that you're not ready to have sex and you're not ready to do whatever, then the answer should be no. And if they can't understand that, then that's on them. It's like a lot of people that end up unaliving their parents or unaliving their children for whatever reason. There is no reason for somebody to be leaving their kids by themselves in order for you to go out. You made a choice to lay down with a man. Now, the consequences and repercussions of that was having a child. And when you have kids, it ain't no longer about you no more. It ain't no more going to the club. It ain't no more going to the movies. It ain't no more none of that. You now have a kid and that you are absolutely responsible for. So being that you're responsible for this child, why are you going to leave this child alone for days to go out and party? And then when you end up getting life in prison without the possibility of parole, you want to say, oh, well, my child and God has forgiven me. Who said God forgave you? At the end of the day, you will be dealing with some type of judgment. So at the end of the day, I'm telling people like this here. Stop sitting up here thinking that just because the other people may seem like they're better than you, honey, trust me, you'll be surprised how much worse they are than you. So I tell people, don't go off how much money that people have, or don't go off the cars, and don't go off all that stuff, because you're gonna find out that it ain't everything is cracked up to be. Trust me, it ain't. And then you gonna look back and you be like, thank God I didn't decide to go that route. Thank God I didn't